Welcome. My name is Mandy Power. I'm the very proud president and CEO. We are here with a fabulous small business that won our Coffee and Commerce drawing that we had at Because Coffee in April. So if you can make it out to our next Coffee and Commerce, please do. We would love to have you. I would like to give a huge shout out to Keith Family Medicine for being the amazing sponsor for Chamber Chats and making this possible. But today we are here with Dottie. She is the owner of Hallmark Homecare, and we're excited to have her. They're new members, and we're excited that you won.
Oh, excited we won too. Glad to be here.
Yes, funny story. So when they won at the Coffee and Commerce, Doug, her husband, said, "Oh, Dottie's going to do this." So very excited to have you here to tell everyone about your business. So first, let's start off. So we talked a little bit about you were in corporate tech. So tell me a little bit about why you decided to get into the home care industry.
Sure. I had been in technology for probably 30 years, in banking technology, moved up into an executive position. And, it just got to the point where it wasn't fun anymore. And I didn't really feel like I was doing anything that gave back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to do something like that. And that's when I started looking into this. My dad has Parkinson's.
Mm.
And so my mom and dad, who have moved here to Dawsonville from Alabama in the past 2 years, they both have caregivers. And so my sister and I had been through the process of getting caregivers and that kind of thing. And so I'd gotten to understand, the need and what a difference it makes in people's lives. And I wanted to do something that felt good like that.
Absolutely. Well, what a wonderful, noble profession. I always say that that's one thing that as a society we don't talk about enough, and that's aging parents.
Yeah.
And how do you take care of that? So having a company we can rely on to be able to help us do that is phenomenal. So obviously you were influenced with your dad's Parkinson's. Has that changed the way that you actually run your business or do business with your personal experience?
Because I think it's made me understand intimately what these seniors and their families go through.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to watch a disease like that and how it impacts your parent that you love so much. But I see the value of having an experienced, loving caregiver there to help them with their, daily activities, things that people take for granted.
Absolutely. So Dawson County, I'm sure you are aware, has a significant aging population. So what are some challenges do you see in Dawson County with our aging residents and population?
I see them struggling to afford to live the way they want to live, especially when they have medical costs and different conditions that they have to deal with. We get a lot of calls from family members who are concerned about their senior parents and how they're living. I think we see a lot of loneliness because maybe the kids moved away and the parents are still here. And so there's a need for companionship. But, it's that kind of thing. And it's really, all of my friends, we're all dealing with the same things. We love our parents and they have, they're aging and they have needs and we all try to help them. But it's hard to do it on our own.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what makes Hallmark Home Care different than your traditional home care services.
Sure. It's very different. We're not a traditional agency. We're a hybrid. So we're a registry and we actually are professional recruiters. We recruit experienced caregivers and then place them with seniors who needs that additional help. So basically the family is in charge. They don't work for us. They work for the family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, one of the things I didn't mention earlier, you said something about Doug, but Doug's been a recruiter for 30 years. So that's one reason that we got into this was because it was a way for him to apply something he's very good at.
Absolutely. Just not speaking on camera.
No.
He'll leave that to you and you're doing a fabulous job. What made you take this unique approach as you were getting into the industry rather than a traditional agency?
Yeah, I saw it as a disruptive business model. The owners of the franchise are actually 30-year veterans of the home care industry or agency, and they saw the types of issues they were having to deal with in the agency model.
Mm-hmm.
And so they built this business and this model to kind of solve some of those problems, like a shortage of experienced caregivers.
Right. So, for those of listeners that we have out there that might not be familiar with exactly what we're talking about, because your business model is very unique, can you tell us what the difference is? You kind of mentioned a little bit they work directly for the family, but just someone going in looking for home care, what is the main difference between the traditional and what you do?
Sure.
The hybrid.
The hybrid, yeah, yeah. We do all of the same things that an agency does when it comes to um, placing the caregiver with the family, um, managing the scheduling and all of that. We actually vet all of the caregivers. We recruit them, we vet them, we get 3 professional references.
Background checks and things.
Background
Okay.
checks, we bond them for theft, we insure them for accidents.
Wow.
And so we're doing all of that stuff, but because they don't actually work for us, that's the big difference.
Okay.
They're independent contractors
Okay.
versus W-2 employees. So that kind of reduces our overhead.
Absolutely. So when it comes to the negotiated rate, because you're right, it's expensive no
Yeah,
matter
it
what
is
way you're
expensive.
looking at. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that surprises people as they're entering into this part of their life. So is that negotiated with the caregiver? And this might be getting a little too
Yeah,
deep for this
it
conversation,
is.
but
It's actually up to the caregiver what they want,
okay.
and it's based on their experience. And then we actually work with the client and their family to negotiate
Oh,
that
perfect.
for them.
Perfect.
And then we have a fee on top of that that covers all of the things that we do, like the insurance and that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so one of the things that this model enables is, say, for instance, you have a parent who needs 24/7 care.
Mm-hmm.
They have dementia,
Mm,
for instance.
mm-hmm.
A W-2, a traditional W-2 agency, it can only allow a caregiver to work 40 hours a week, or they have to pay overtime.
Right.
These are independent contractors. They can work as many hours as they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So for a patient with dementia, for instance, they would have multiple people coming in and out of the house all week long, where we can place a caregiver who wants to work a larger block of time. So
Mm.
larger blocks of time, fewer caregivers.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, and we
Having multiple different people in and out of your home and in an already sensitive situation could be even more traumatic.
right, and we work with rehabs across North Georgia, and as well as primary care physicians and other doctors. But the rehabs are one of the places that they actually find this model to be very effective for them, because a lot of people coming out of rehab have other issues like
Sure.
dementia,
Sure.
where they need kind of they're a special situation and they need a special kind of caregiver arrangement.
Absolutely. And so y'all are non-medical caregiving. So tell us a little bit about what that means as far as what the day-to-day looks like, or when you might have to bring in a medical caregiver and that type of thing.
Right. Yes, they're non-medical. However, if they're trained to do something like wound care
Mhm.
or feeding tube management or something like that, if
Mhm.
they're trained to do that and the family wants them to do it, or the family wants to train them to do it, they can.
Ah, perfect.
So, but non-medical home care is more about companionship, light housekeeping, and daily activities of living. So, things like, getting out of bed in the morning, taking a shower, getting dressed, transportation to doctor's appointments. They can either drive their own car or they can drive the client's car, whichever one, and they're insured for that. And then they do things. They can do cooking. They take them to lunch. They run errands for them. Just anything that a senior is really no longer able to do
And
because of
that
their condition.
companionship and a mental capacity is huge. I mean, medical is very important, but that companionship.
It
Um,
really is. And you know who suffers a lot in these situations is the primary caregiver. So say it's a husband and wife and the husband has dementia. The wife trying to be that primary caregiver, it consumes them.
Absolutely.
And lots of times they end up sick because of it. So this companionship is so important. You know, for instance, my mother, because they have a caregiver there with my dad, my mother's able to go to Bible study and to book club and out to lunch with her friends once in a while. So it gives her a little freedom. She can go to Walmart. She goes to Walmart a lot. Um, but that kind of thing, that kind of freedom, and the social aspect that is so
Yeah.
important to aging. That's something that this helps with a lot.
And unfortunately, when they move to that next step, they still have a normal routine that they can carry on if
Right.
something were to happen
That's right.
to that other person.
That's
And
right.
and that's where I see a lot of issues as well, as you've devoted 100% of your time to caregiving and now you no longer have to do that. Now what? And
Yeah.
so this does give them an opportunity to kind of keep some of those
Yeah.
lifestyle things going for their mental health as
I know.
well.
I have a personal story that my grandfather died of a heart condition, and my grandmother had been his primary caregiver for years. He had had problems for years, and she died 4 days later.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Mm.
All right. So walk us through, you recruit a lot of the caregivers or all of the caregivers. So walk us through what your ideal caregiver profile would look like.
Sure. We are looking for somebody with a minimum of 5 years experience, someone who's already been trained and has the certificates to prove it. And then, like I said, we get 3 professional references and we talk to every one of them. And we want to hear about their compassion. And we want to hear from family members things like, oh, we couldn't have done it without them. They
Mm,
became part of the family, that kind
yes.
of thing. And we hear that a lot because
Right.
these caregivers are passionate about caregiving. And so that's what we look for. And then we also look for people that have experience in this community, and also we try to find people who are close to their clients. So we match them. We actually have a matchmaking capability where we document all of the caregivers' experience and things like, do they like dogs? Do they mind
Yes.
smoke? Do they,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. And we find out that about the caregivers. Then we do the same thing for the clients. Do they have dogs? Do they smoke inside? That
Hmm.
kind of thing. And then we can match compatible people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which makes a big difference as
Yeah, it
well
does.
when they have something in common.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your membership with the chamber. So, what made you, as a business in our community, want to join the chamber?
Well, one of the things I wanted to get out of having a business like this in Dawson County was to get closer in my community. I was working in technology on Zoom calls all day long, never left my house except
Oof.
when I traveled.
Yes.
And I hated that. I wanted to know my community. So the first thing I did was join the chamber. I want to be involved in and really know the people and the businesses here in the community.
That's awesome. That's what we pride ourselves on, right? As being the hub in the community. So we feel like that was a great first move for you. But what has been your biggest benefit of being part of the chamber, Dawson
Oh,
County
well, this
Chamber?
is pretty cool.
Yes. So this might top the list.
It might. And then the people I've met, it's just everybody's great. And what I love about the events and things like that is we're all out to help each other, right? We all want to help each other succeed, and that's different than in some business settings, right?
So
And
coming from a banking background like you
yeah,
as well, I would
yeah,
say that has been the biggest adjustment for me in the chamber world is we all help each other. There is no secrets. There's no hiding. There's no like whatever
exactly.
you need,
Yeah,
we want
it
to
is
help you
not a
succeed.
toxic work environment.
So, what is the biggest misconception people have about bringing in independent caregivers into their home?
Um, I would say you already touched on one thing. It's more expensive than most people think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, how hard it is to find a caregiver that wants to come, say, 2 hours a week. People ask us I just need somebody to come on Mondays and Thursdays for an hour and help me take a shower. That's hard, right? Because these
Mm-hmm.
caregivers are also trying to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires them to find multiple clients. And you're not going to get that kind of close relationship that you'll get when you have more hours per week.
Absolutely.
Um, so that's one of the things. And also, just at this stage of people's lives, they've saved their money all these years for a rainy day. And I tell people a lot of times, this is your rainy day. This is something you may want to spend money on if you want to, for instance, stay in your home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Versus
Yeah,
going to a facility.
absolutely. What would you say to parents? My husband's family is actually going through this a little bit with his grandmother, because they wanted her to have that companionship. But it was hard to convince her
Yeah.
that it was that time in her life and it would be a great way for her to be able to connect
Mhm.
and not just rely on her family when they could come and see her and those types of things. So, what advice would you give to those families who were trying to persuade, for lack of a better word, their aging parent or relative that this is the next step?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. First, when we first meet with a client, we actually go to their homes and meet with the family and the client. And we'll see that they're hesitant about having somebody in their home and that kind of thing. But a lot of times I try to ask them, I get them to, let's try it. Just try it.
Mhm.
And if you don't like the person, we will find you someone else that's more compatible. And we talk to them about the matching service that we do so that we're making sure that it's somebody that they're going to be compatible with and somebody who's already had great relationships with other
Mhm.
clients in the past. And we verified that. But yeah, I think a lot of times it's just trying to get them to try it.
And this is certainly easier than trying to convince someone to move out of their home into a
Absolutely.
facility.
And
So,
and that's the argument a lot of times that the kids make with their parents is you want to stay home and this we have jobs. We live out of town. We have our own kids. We can't stay here with you so that you can stay home. But if you have a caregiver come sit with you and help you every
mhm,
day, you can stay home.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what does the future of Hallmark Home Care look like here in Dawson County?
Well, I hope it looks really bright. We're growing like crazy. We're networking all over North Georgia. We've actually brought our daughter in. So,
Fabulous.
yeah, so she's doing business development. And yeah, so we're a family company and we plan to grow and stay here and continue to help the community. So hopefully we'll be able to bring on more people to the company, give more people jobs working for us, but then also recruit more caregivers and give them roles working for patients and clients in the community.
Mhm, absolutely. Well, I think that you definitely have a great opportunity here in North Georgia. We do have a rising um, population, aging population, and this is going to be instrumental for those of us who are going to be facing that because we all do.
Yes.
Hopefully, we all do at
Yeah.
some point face that. So this is a great alternative to being able to navigate through that situation
Yep.
when we all get there, which is not easy. But for chamber members listening, how can local businesses better support our aging population in our community? What are some things that you can see?
Wow, that was a good one. Um, let's see.
Because I'm sure you've experienced already our membership wants to help each other. And I will say, when we did leadership, they went to the senior center, and that was one of the funnest things that they said that they did was going and interacting, and not even realizing as business leaders that that was open and was an option that they were able to do. So I'm sure there are lots of
Oh
things
yeah,
that you see.
we work with a lot of what we call the CCRCs in the area, especially like Manor Lake down the road
Yes,
here.
yes.
Rebecca Cox.
Great members.
Yeah,
Yes.
and my parents live there, and several of my friends' parents live there. It's a great community, and we like to work with those groups to do things like, we'll set up a table for one of their events, or we'll sponsor something. We'll bring treats. We go to Wine Down Wednesday,
Oh,
that kind of thing.
yes.
So, yeah, but I would say that businesses in the community just need to recognize the changing needs of citizens. And also, when you recognize somebody who's maybe alone and struggling, you know, call us and we'll call them. I think I brought it up earlier that loneliness is one of the biggest problems that people have is they can't get out and drive, and they just continue to get more lonely and depressed. And so having that companionship is so important. So I would say if businesses see that type of a situation, let their family member or let us know, and we'll let their family members know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for what y'all do at Hallmark Home Care and taking care of all of our loved ones that we so desperately need and filling that gap for us. We're looking forward to a great long tenure here in Dawson
Oh,
County
yeah.
and definitely part of the chamber. So excited to have y'all as a part of it and coming to our events and winning wonderful things
Yay.
like chamber chats. So that will conclude this CEO Chamber Chats. Thank you again to Keith Family Medicine for being our amazing sponsor and being able to make this happen. We'll see you soon.